Me parece muy interesante la figura de Martin Parr. Creo que, muerto Michael Jackson como rey del pop, tenemos al nuevo rey del art pop con Martin Parr, que está presente en prácticamente todos los sitios, como se ve, en un mundo en el que el del arte, en el que la visibilidad es uno de los asuntos más importantes. Pues veis cómo se multiplican los soportes que en algún caso conocíamos acá, porque Miguel Trillo es uno de los grandes aficionados a llevar la fotografía a todo tipo de soportes, y me parece muy interesante, sobre todo en relación con, o por lo que puede tener de contradicción, con un manifiesto que hicieron, si no recuerdo mal, el año pasado, Joan Fontcuberta, Joachim Schmidt y el propio Martin Parr en el Festival de Arles, en donde más o menos, no cito de memoria, pues hablaban de la profusión de imágenes que hay ahora, que estábamos más en un momento en el que había que procesar las imágenes ya existentes más que generar nuevas imágenes. Pero por lo que veo, Martin, tú no dejas de generar imágenes.
The idea of this exhibition was to try and show different ways that photographers have become editors, or the editor has become the author. And we wanted to make a serious show about this because we felt the whole idea of the editor didn't have enough status. And that's why we presented this exhibition in Arles with 35 different editors, showing the photographs that they discovered, mainly on the internet. And I think it's to give status to that. Of course, part of the argument is that we are drowning in images, but that's no reason not to take any more. And that's no reason also to actually try and give the artists, or editors if you like, who've explored these ideas, the status and the attention that they deserve. So I don't see any contradiction in the idea of presenting a show where the editor is the author.
Okay. Otra pregunta. Y últimamente estoy yo muy preocupado en cuáles son las razones de la existencia de Magnum en el siglo XXI, una cooperativa de fotógrafos que tuvo casi la función social de actuar como enviados especiales de una sociedad que entonces no viajaba tanto y contarnos cómo era el mundo. Y en cierto modo algunos de ellos siguen haciendo eso. Pero figuras como las de Antoine d'Agata, ¿qué hace Antoine d'Agata en Magnum?
I think that it's very good that Antoine d'Agata is in Magnum. I mean, it's no secret when I joined Magnum in '89 as my first attempt to become a nominee, and then finally became a member in 1994, is a very controversial decision. I think for a humanistic agency like this, taking on a photographer like myself was a real problem. But I think also it's very good that they've enlarged the base, because that sort of idea of the traditional photojournalism, as you know, is almost expired. We could argue it's almost dead. And therefore, is this a better thingy? Great. And therefore, the idea of a wider scope of photographer really helps Magnum keep up to date. I mean, the big problem is we're still male-dominated. Every meeting when we convene at the end of June. No, have more than that. We took on two. We took on 2 women last summer alone. So you're out of date with your information. Sadly, 2 women also that year died, both Eve Arnold and Martine Frank. No, but we would love to have more women, and we almost, if you're a woman photographer, you have a much better chance of being accepted by Magnum than if you're a male photographer. So we're fully aware. I mean, Magnum needs to restructure, it needs to reorganize, and that's really what we're trying to do. And I think the initiative that Magnum did by the photographers is a very welcome addition in trying to find and evolve different ways of working. The marketplace has changed considerably since even in 10, 20 years that I've been involved in Magnum. So we have to reinvent ourselves, and it's a difficult thing to do, as many agencies have gone out of business, but we're still there, and we are constantly trying to restructure and reinvent our ways of doing things, and trying to find new, exciting members. But it takes time to turn a big tank around.
Ahora que ha surgido este fenómeno de de los libros, de los fotolibros, pues hemos asistido todos a esta sensación de que un libro tocado por el dedo de Martin Parr pasaba a ser un libro imposible de conseguir, que multiplicaba el precio, etc. Lo que habla estupendamente bien de ti, pero yo quería hacerte una pregunta, tú que conoces a los editores y a los que publican estos libros, ¿por qué no publican de nuevo, o por qué no hacen otras ediciones en lugar de mantener estos precios de segunda mano de la cual los editores no consiguen ningún beneficio? Estoy hablando de Raise a Laugh de Richard Billingham, por ejemplo, que tampoco era un libro lujosísimo y es imposible de encontrar a un precio razonable. ¿Qué les pasa a los editores con eso?
I mean, over the years, there have been many of these famous books that have been republished, and things like Eggleston's Guide, and there are many examples, but you can't republish everything. So inevitably, some books become quite rare and quite expensive. But I think the renaissance of the photographic book in the last decade is a fantastic thing, and the fact that the whole study of books, you know full well, like Horacio and his project with Latin America, I think this helped enormously for people to understand what's going on in Latin America photographically. Likewise, I'm working on now volume 3 of the Photo Book of History. This will come out next year. We're just finalizing the list. And here we're able to update many of the books that were published since 2006 when volume 2 came out. And also we keep finding astonishing books that are hidden away, which we want to give a platform to. And also I'm working on what I think is the sort of last mystery of photographic publishing, which is Chinese photography books. So in the year 2014, Aperture will publish this book, and next week I go to China to bring another 75 kilos of books back with me. I'm working very closely with a Dutch photographer called Ruben Lundgren from Wassing Lundgren. He's based in Beijing. He speaks Mandarin, he writes Mandarin, and through the internet in China, we've discovered astonishing books. And I think because I have such a hunger for books, there aren't many places and territories left with these hidden histories. So for me, it's the last great challenge, the last great frontier of exploration to be done with the photography book. And as well as books made in China, we're also going to include books about China from Europeans in the early part of the century, and particularly, say, the Japanese, when they invaded China in the 1930s. They produced a huge amount of photographic books, both of propaganda nature and otherwise. Because the Japanese are such advanced people with photography, they're astonishing as well. So we have this opportunity to show the Japanese books, and also, of course, to fully illustrate the huge renaissance of photography, which took place in China starting in the 1980s, which has become one of the most exciting movements of contemporary photography that we've seen since the war. So for me, the whole study of the photographic book and what it can bring to our photographic culture is a big challenge. And I think of them as being revisionist histories. I think of them being a different history of photography. History is subjective. We all assume that the history of photography is absolutely firm, but in fact, with the addition of the book and how this has contributed to our understanding of our photographic culture, we are reinventing this history all the time. And that's what's very exciting. So that's, if you like, part of the process that I want to be involved with, and very much enjoying this opportunity to have the books out and to share these with other people through the publishing platform.
Bueno, era mentira lo de que era la última pregunta. Para enlazar con el tema de la conferencia, de esta mesa, de las plataformas de visibilidad, y dada la condición de Martin, pues desde ser editor de libros, comisario de exposiciones, director de festivales, etc., y aunque la mayoría de la gente ha venido aquí a ver el trabajo de Eric, pero ha coincidido que estás tú también, yo quería aprovechar para preguntarte cómo gestionas los miles de fotógrafos que andarán detrás de ti para mandarte portafolios. Yo he tenido varias llamadas en estos días y no estaba en España, para que te dijera, por favor, que te iban a mandar un email de mi parte. ¿Cómo gestionas esta ansiedad absolutamente natural de la gente por ponerse en contacto contigo, mostrarte sus portafolios y cómo haces con eso?
To me?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is a bit of a problem. I have so many people write to me every day, and maybe half a dozen, probably after tonight it'll be 10. As many people in this room write to me, and they want me to solve their entire problems of how to get a book published, how to become famous, how to do this, how to do that, and I just can't do it. I mean, I do try and quickly look at everything, and I normally write back and try and explain. I'm overwhelmed with these requests. Just very occasionally you see something that is really strong, and then I might try and go into a dialogue. But I rely very heavily on many of my friends and contacts that I have throughout the world. So to send me information about new books and about new photographers. And I'm very lucky that people do this. And this is really, if you like, how I'm able to accumulate a sort of inventory of new work that I think deserves to be shown and shared. And then when these opportunities come along, and it's not my full-time job to be a curator, but when the festivals come along, I'm able to show work, and I always like showing new work. You know, this to me is the great challenge, is to promote and to show new photographers who deserve that break. I'm also publishing with Nazraeli Press 10 books called Parr Nazraeli. We're up to, I think, book 7, so this is another platform that I can also get the work out into. So I enjoy this chance. I'm very lucky that I've been given this privileged position whereby people want me to share the work. But the danger is it becomes overwhelming, and I cannot do it as responsibly as I'd like to do because I have so many other things on.
I have a question for Martin. Do you think, everyone now has a lot of access to display their pictures everywhere, like social networks and in every single place? So, since you work on your live exhibition, do you think that the techniques that needs to be used to take pictures should be addressed to the specific platform that you're going to display your pictures, or any picture can be taken from the walls to the social network, and then so there's a new life for photographers?
One of the things I love about photography is its promiscuity. By that I mean its ability to be both high and low culture at the same time. I like the fact the same picture can function in, say, a gallery wall, like the Reina Sofia or the Tate Gallery, and this can be printed very cheaply on a piece of newspaper or put on the internet. That, to me, is one of the great democratic ideas about photography, and I very much love that aspect of it. And the fact that you have all these photo sharing sites, the fact that Facebook loads up 500,000 pictures a day, seems to me to be good news in one sense, because many more people are interested in photography. And it is the biggest democratic art form in the world, and the audience for photography gets bigger and bigger. And in a sense, most of the audience I have for my own photographs are other photographers, so I can't get enough of them. Wheel them on. I want more photographers. And also remember, we need more bad photos. I take probably more bad photos than anyone else in this room, because in order to get anything good, you have to take a lot of bad. And we don't understand the good until we've seen a lot of bad. So I love lots of bad photography, and I do lots myself. And the more pictures you have, the more there are bad. But then conversely, there should also be some good as well.
Thank you. And in the process of taking the picture, do you have to think on where you're going to display the picture, or you just focus on what you want to picture?
No, sometimes there are 2 or 3 different types of work that I undertake. Sometimes it's a commission, in which case the destination or the gallery or the museum or the magazine even is, we know the prime place where these pictures will be seen. And then often I work on my own projects where I haven't really determined the platform that I will bring for that until the project is finished. But even though we're in the age of the internet, as I think a lot of you may have gathered, I'm still completely obsessed by the photography book. So even though the book has a very small print run quite often, this to me is the ultimate way in which you can see photographs and devour them. And I just love the whole idea of the actual physicality of the book. And despite the internet, this to me is the most brilliant and wonderful medium to show photographs in. So I'm incredibly biased in favor of the photographic book.
Okay, thank you very much. And one real quick for Eric. I think your project for and the idea of convincing yourself that you're an artist from the very beginning is very interesting. Are you using only the social network as the platform for, to show your work since the very beginning, or are you using any other platforms in your project?
Yeah. It's very important to understand what social network means radically, because our cities are social networks, our families are social networks, and our friendships are social networks, as Facebook, as Twitter, as Instagram. So we have these only two categories, like real life relations or virtual relations. So what you do in Facebook, you do in your life also. In the real social network, you have your friends, you have your wall, you have your look, you post something, you say something, you show something, as on Facebook. So I don't see any difference between Facebook and real life, except the thing that it's not real.